All right, diving right in. Looks like someone's getting ready to go green, huh?
Yeah, big stack of LED certification stuff here.
Got all the good stuff. Study guides, tables, even some diagrams. Looks like someone's maybe thinking about taking that exam.
Could be.
Well, we're here to help you make sense of it all, pull out the really important stuff.
And maybe find some fun facts along the way.
Exactly. And we both know construction, it can be kind of rough on the environment.
Definitely.
But get this, did you know buildings? They actually contribute more to greenhouse gases.
Then the entire industrial sector.
I know, wild, right?
It is pretty crazy when you think about it.
You'll never look at a skyscraper the same way again.
Nope.
So let's jump into chapter 1 here.
Let's do it.
What makes a building green?
Well, it's more than just like throwing some solar panels on the roof or using recycled materials.
Right.
It's kind of the whole picture, energy and water efficiency, healthy indoor spaces.
Yes. The guide even mentions smarter location choices.
Yeah, for sure. Location is huge.
So it's not just about being, eco-friendly. It's
Ah.
really about making places that are better for people and the planet in the long run.
Yeah, healthier, more productive, and ultimately more sustainable.
Okay, so that brings us to LEED certification, right?
Yep, leadership in energy and environmental design.
Catchy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Think of it like this universal language for green buildings, a globally recognized...
Stamp of approval.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, this building is doing things right.
It's like a grading system for how sustainable a building is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's used in a ton of countries, even places you wouldn't expect.
Oh, yeah.
The study guide mentions over 750 LED projects in the GCC,
Wow.
a region that's known more for oil than eco-consciousness.
That's impressive.
So it's making its way around the world.
It really is. And as you go through this, you'll find that LED isn't just like a one-size-fits-all thing.
Right.
There are different rating systems tailored to specific projects.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're prepping for the LED Green Associate exam. That focuses on building design and construction. But there's also a LEED for interior design and construction, which dives into things like indoor air quality and materials. Even if you're not building from scratch, you can still make a big impact.
So no matter what kind of project you're working on, there's a LEED rating system out there.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to chapter 3.
Okay.
It dives into the idea that where you put a building is just as important as how you build it.
Absolutely. Location. It's crucial. Imagine building near a river,
Right.
LEED. It has very specific rules about protecting that water
Oh, interesting.
from runoff, erosion, even too much light at night.
Ah,
It's about thinking beyond the building itself
yeah.
and considering the whole ecosystem.
Right, so it's not just contained to the building itself.
Oh, not at all.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
The guide really emphasizes avoiding building on sensitive land.
Like wetlands?
Yeah. They even included a picture to really drive that point home.
Yeah, they don't want you building on a wetland.
And you can't build within 100 feet of water bodies. And paving over prime farmland,
Big no-no.
that's definitely a no-no. It all ties into the triple bottom line of sustainability, right?
Exactly. People, planet, and profit.
Building in the wrong spot can have ripple effects.
Definitely. It's thinking long-term, impact on the environment, the community, and even the economy.
Okay, so chapter 5, water efficiency.
Right.
This is where things get really interesting. Every drop counts, especially if you're in a drought-prone area.
Oh, yeah.
The guide really highlights that landscaping is often the biggest water guzzler. Have you ever heard of xeriscaping?
Yeah, xeriscaping is using drought-tolerant plants
Oh, okay.
to minimize or eliminate the need for irrigation.
That's smart, especially like you said in those drier climates.
For sure.
Okay, speaking of saving resources, let's talk energy efficiency. Chapter 6.
Let's do it.
This is where LEV really gets down to the nitty-gritty with optimized energy performance being worth the most points.
Makes sense. Buildings use a ton of energy.
The guide really dives into how good design can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's not just about picking, energy-efficient HVAC systems. It's about looking at the whole building.
The system, yeah.
The orientation, the windows, the insulation.
It all works together.
Everything working together. It's a holistic approach.
That's what it is.
And that's where things like COP and EER come in.
Oh, yeah, the jargon.
Yeah. Can you break down what COP and EER mean?
Think of it like miles per gallon for your car.
Okay.
Higher COP and ER mean you're getting more cooling or heating power for the same amount of energy.
So higher COP and ER equals more energy saving.
Exactly. You got it.
Got it. The guide also covers renewable energy sources, things like solar, wind, geothermal.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty specific about what lead considers renewable.
It really doesn't.
Burning garbage for energy.
Not so much.
Not so much. LED wants the good stuff.
They want the real deal, yeah.
Speaking of environmental impact, remember the hole in the ozone layer? That was refrigerants.
Mm-hmm.
And LED is working to phase out the harmful ones.
Yeah.
The guide explains, like, the whole evolution.
From CFCs to HEFCs to HFCs.
Yeah.
So we moved from CFCs to HCFCs, which were less harmful to the ozone because they break down more easily in the atmosphere.
Okay.
But they still contribute to global warming.
Right.
So then came HFCs. They're even better for the ozone layer, but we're still figuring out their long-term climate impact.
So it's a constant evolution.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's move on to Chapter 7, Materials and Resources. This one really goes deep into the life cycle of building materials.
Where they come from, how they're used, and what happens to them at the end of their life.
Right, minimizing that environmental impact.
Throughout the whole life cycle.
The guide says that most construction waste is actually recyclable.
Oh, really?
I know, right? Metal, wood, concrete, it can all be diverted from landfills.
Nice.
They even mention waste to energy, turning trash into fuel. So maybe that pizza box I just threw away will help power someone's house. Who knows?
Maybe. Waste to energy can be a valuable part of a sustainable system.
Yeah, pretty cool. The guide also dives into building reuse.
Okay.
Turns out the greenest building is often the one that's already standing.
Makes sense.
Reusing those existing structures saves a ton of embodied energy.
And embodied energy refers to all the energy that goes into producing, transporting, and installing building materials.
So by reusing a building, you're basically saving all that energy that would have gone into creating new materials.
Exactly.
Pretty significant.
Huge environmental benefit.
Okay, and then there's recycled content. This is more than just tossing stuff in the recycling bin.
Right.
The guide actually breaks down the difference between pre- and post-consumer recycled content.
Okay.
So if you see a question about recycled content on the LED exam, remember that difference?
Pre and post.
It could be the key to getting that point.
Yeah, good tip. Pre-consumer content comes from manufacturing waste, while post-consumer content comes from products that have reached the end of their life as a consumer product.
Like using fly ash in concrete.
Exactly. Fly ash, it's a byproduct of coal combustion, but you can use in concrete. It's closing the loop on material cycles.
It's like giving those materials a second life.
Exactly.
Okay, Chapter 8. This one's all about indoor environmental quality.
Okay.
And this is something I think we can all relate to.
I think so too.
We've all had that experience of being stuck in, like, a stuffy room, bad lighting.
Oh, do I?
The guide stresses the importance of ventilation, getting that fresh air into the building.
Right.
But they also point out that ventilation can sometimes clash with energy efficiency goals.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
Right. Trying to keep things cool and well ventilated can use a lot of energy.
That's where the integrative process comes in, finding that sweet spot between a healthy indoor environment and minimizing energy consumption.
Right. So it's all about balance. The guide also delves into low-emitting materials. Have you ever noticed that new car smell?
Oh, yeah, it's distinct.
Well, that's actually chemicals off-gassing.
Uh-huh.
Alfie really aims to minimize that in buildings
For sure.
to improve the indoor air quality.
Yeah, that off-gassing of volatile organic compounds, it's not good for us.
So Alfie is promoting the use of materials that have low emissions.
To create healthier indoor spaces.
And the guide even mentions organizations like SekiQMD and Green Seal.
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of like third-party certifiers
Just
that make sure products meet, like, strict standards for indoor air quality.
So it was like a seal of approval for healthy building materials.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Okay, before we jump into Chapter 9 and the integrative process,
Okay.
let's take a quick pause.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back to continue our green building journey.
All right.
Okay, so Chapter 9, the integrative process. This seems like kind of a key concept in LEED.
It is, yeah.
But it's a little abstract. Can you help break this down?
Yeah, the integrative process, it's really all about collaboration.
Yeah.
It brings everyone involved in the project together right from the start.
Okay.
Architects, engineers, contractors,
Even the future occupants.
even the occupants,
Yeah.
to make sure everybody's needs and goals are all considered.
The guide kind of contrasts it with that conventional design process where everyone's kind of working in silos
And things fall through the cracks.
and things get missed.
Exactly.
I can see how with this integrated approach could lead to, better outcomes
Definitely, yeah.
for everybody involved.
And by working together from day one, the team can identify any potential conflicts early on
Right.
and find solutions that are better for, well, everyone, the occupants, the environment, even the budget.
So it's really about maximizing that synergy and creating a truly integrated design.
Exactly.
It sounds like it could also prevent a lot of headaches, those costly changes down the road.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about proactive planning, not reactive problem solving.
If you see a question on the LEED exam about collaboration and a holistic approach, remember the integrative process.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, chapter 10, bonus points. So this is where LEED encourages going above and beyond.
That's right, going above and beyond. LEED recognizes that there's always room to innovate,
Oh,
to find new ways to make even greener, healthier spaces.
the guide mentions credits for innovation.
Yeah.
So finding creative solutions using new technologies, right?
Yeah, and credits for addressing regional priority issues.
Which is basically responding to the specific environmental challenges of a location.
Right, because what works in one place might not be the best approach in another.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's all about making sure that LED projects are not only sustainable in general, but they're also contributing to solving those local issues.
Okay, so LE isn't just a static checklist. It's more of a framework.
Yeah.
Encourages continuous improvement, right?
Absolutely. It's always evolving
So it's a living, breathing system.
to reflect the latest and greatest in sustainable building practices.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Energy, water, materials, indoor spaces, even where the building is located.
It's amazing how much goes into creating a truly sustainable building.
We've only just, scratched the surface here, but hopefully you've got a good taste of what makes green buildings so fascinating.
Yeah, it's not just about doing less bad. It's about creating spaces that are actually beneficial.
To both people and the planet.
Exactly.
And remember, this deep dive, it's just a starting point
Yeah,
for your green building journey.
it is.
If you're prepping for that Little Green Associate exam,
Keep studying.
keep hitting the books.
But even if you're not,
Even if you're not, I hope this has sparked some interest because it's a topic that really affects us all.
it does for sure.
Absolutely. So as we become more aware of the impact our buildings have,
On the environment.
it becomes super important to really adopt those sustainable practices.
In LED, it really provides that roadmap for creating buildings that are not only environmentally responsible,
But also healthier?
more comfortable,
Yeah.
and more resilient for the future.
Okay, as you continue on your green building journey,
Yeah.
here's something to think about. The guide mentions that LEED doesn't actually endorse any specific products.
That is interesting.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it really speaks to the need for ongoing research and development.
Okay.
Technology is constantly evolving. What's considered cutting edge today might be obsolete in a few years.
Right.
But not endorsing specific products, LEI kind of avoids locking us into outdated technologies.
So it encourages that continuous innovation.
Exactly. It's like setting a high bar for sustainability
Right.
and then letting the market find those creative and effective ways to reach it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it fosters this dynamic, evolving approach to green building, which is super important in a world that's constantly changing.
I always thought green roofs were just an aesthetic choice. But after learning about the heat island effect,
It's amazing how much they can actually help cool a city.
it is. Maybe that's why my rooftop garden feels so much cooler than the street below.
It could be, yeah. Green roofs not only help mitigate the heat island effect, but they also provide insulation, reduce stormwater runoff, and even create habitats for wildlife.
Speaking of multiple benefits, remember LEED for existing buildings.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do to make older buildings more sustainable.
Retrofitting existing buildings, it's a huge part of sustainable buildings.
Right.
Because the majority of buildings that are going to be around in 2050, they're already here.
So we've got this huge opportunity to make a big impact
We do.
without having to start from scratch.
Exactly.
The guide mentions upgrading lighting, HVAC system.
Better insulation.
Yeah, and even switching to green cleaning products.
It's like giving those buildings a green makeover.
It really is. And it's not just about the environmental benefits, right?
No, not at all.
Making these upgrades, it can save money on those utility bills.
Yeah. Definitely.
And create those healthier, more comfortable spaces.
It's a win-win, yeah. Sustainable practices often make good business sense as well.
So whether you're designing a brand new LEED certified skyscraper or just trying to make your own home a little bit greener,
Yeah,
there are so many options out there.
there are. The key is to just take that first step
Right.
and explore the possibilities.
Every action, no matter how small, can make a difference.
Absolutely, to a more sustainable future.
Well said. We've covered a lot in this deep dive into green building and LED.
We have.
I have to say, I've learned a lot,
Me too.
and it's definitely giving me a new perspective on the built environment.
That's great to hear.
It really is. And this is just the beginning of your green building journey.
It is.
There's so much out there to explore, so we encourage you to keep learning.
Keep asking questions.
Keep building that more sustainable future.
And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep building a more sustainable future.
You know, it's really cool how LD manages to keep up with everything. You know, it's a field that's constantly changing.
Yeah, it really is. And that's one of the things that makes it so effective. It sets a high standard, but it's flexible
Right.
about how you actually meet those standards. LED encourages trying new things and using new technologies.
So it's not like a set of rules. It's more like a philosophy, you know?
It is, yeah. It's about continuous improvement.
Right. So it's like, here are the goals.
You figure out how to get there.
You figure out the best way to get there.
Exactly. And that's why it's been so successful at moving the whole green building thing forward.
Right.
It's not about telling you exactly what to do. It's more about creating this environment of creativity and problem solving.
Okay. Before we wrap up, one more thing.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about new construction, but what about all the buildings that are already out there?
Oh, that's a great point.
Is there hope for them? Yeah, definitely. Most of the buildings that will be around in 2050, they already exist.
Wow, that's kind of crazy to think about.
It is.
So focusing on making those buildings more sustainable,
That's critical.
it's a huge opportunity, right?
Right.
We can make a big difference.
Without starting from scratch.
Exactly.
And that's where LED for existing buildings comes in.
Okay, so it gives you a way to figure out,
It's a framework, yeah, for assessing how well the building is performing
right, environmentally.
and figuring out where you can make improvements.
The guide mentions things like upgrading those lighting and HVAC systems, adding insulation.
Switching to green cleaning products.
Yeah, it's like a whole green makeover.
It really is. And it's all about reducing how much energy and water we're using, making indoor spaces healthier and, you know, just making these buildings last longer.
Right, right.
And it's not just good for the planet, it's good for the bottom line too.
Right, because those upgrades can save money,
Yeah, on those utility bills.
create healthier, more comfortable spaces.
Absolutely a win-win.
So it's inspiring we can make a difference, even with those older buildings.
Yeah, it's not all or nothing.
It's not about being perfect.
It's about progress. Sustainability, every little thing we do, it adds up.
It all adds up to a more sustainable future.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today in this deep dive into green buildings and LE certification. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Me too. It's been a really great conversation.
It has been, and it's given me a whole new way of thinking about the buildings around us.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, and it's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
Yeah, and this is really just the beginning.
It
There's
is.
so much more to learn out there.
Keep exploring.
So keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep building a more sustainable future.
Couldn't said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.